Welcome to the Motormouth YouTube channel. I'm Zack.
I'm Andrea.
And we do full-length car reviews each and every week. And halfway through, we stop for a segment called Questions, Coffee, and Cars. And we spun it off. We're up to number 108. How do you get a question in?
Follow along on Instagram at Motormouth_Andrea. Every Sunday morning, I put a post out asking for questions. Once we gather our questions, the post is deleted and we start the show.
Time now for Questions, Coffee, and Cars.
Your questions from Instagram.
Just curious, how did you guys pick out which cars show in the slide for Questions, Coffee, and Cars? My eye is caught every time by the pretty CT5. Love the show. Thank you.
Well, that was 108 episodes ago that I edited that little intro.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think you just maybe you like the CT. It was Zack who chose them all.
Yeah, but the thing is, we've done 108 episodes of Questions, Coffee, and Cars, as I said at the beginning, as a standalone.
Yeah.
But we've been doing it for several years. So I just chose a bunch of cars that we had done when we first started doing it together.
Well, you caught his eye.
There you go.
He likes it.
Yeah, actually, and now that you mention it, it's kind of they're kind of older cars now.
We could switch it
Might be time to change it up. You right below. Should we change the cars or just keep it the same?
Have you heard about Volvo upping the price on the EX90? That's the full electric vehicle that's coming soon by $3,300, and people pulling out of buying the vehicle when it does come out. It seems like a lot of angry now ex-customers.
Is that EX customers or ex-customers?
Clever, Zack, clever.
I've only had a sip.
I know. So they did up the price by $3,300, and a Volvo spokesperson spoke to Automotive News and said, materials just cost more. So they announced the price increase on June 26th. And although they took pre-orders last November, they weren't firm orders, and there were no non-refundable deposits that people gave. So they let the dealers and they let the people who did pre-order know that there was a price increase at that time, and then they could decide whether they wanted to go through with the order or not.
Newsflash, if you pre-order or put a deposit down on an electric car, I would go all in on Vegas that price that they tickle you with is never going to happen. We've seen it over and over and over from EV launches. This car is going to cost this amount of money. I think when they brought out the Model 3, they said it was going to be $35,000 or something like that. I think that was available for about a minute and a half on the website.
What about the Cybertruck?
The Cybertruck, just this past week, they got rid of the $61,000 US one. And now it's like $100,000. And then Elon says, by the way, if you want one, you can get one right away. Because, Tesla's going through slowdown with their lower revenues. So they're trying to juice revenues.
So the EX90 in the US is going to start just under $80,000. And then you've got Destination on top of that, $1,295. In Canada, it's going to start at over $113,000.
And it's made in the US, right?
It's made in the US.
And then the other one, the small one, is made in China, which is a whole other thing. But you know what? You just think about it. Why would you buy that when you could just go and get the EV9 from Kia? I mean,
some people will want a more premium brand,
I don't know.
That's up to them. So here's the kicker. You ready for this one?
I want the kicker.
Yeah. It's also going to ship without some features.
Why?
Including some driver aids, Apple CarPlay, plug and charge, and bi-directional charging. An unresolved battery drain issue might cause early build vehicles to use some energy while parked. The automaker goes on to say that if you do get one of these earlier vehicles, there will be a free over-the-air software update, which will add it back and will take care of the drain issue, the power issue.
Yeah, or just go and get a Kia.
How about just hold off a little bit until they sort out their issues? Hello to the most comprehensive and interesting auto review couple known to man.
I guess that's your way of getting your... Andrea, that's the way you get a question in.
Yeah.
You suck up. I think it worked.
It worked. I thought that was great. How much credence do you put into where a car is manufactured? Mexico, China, Germany, USA. You know what? You talk to the manufacturers and they'll tell you, look, we've got the same structure in place, but we all know, and I'm not going to go after Volkswagen here, but reliability isn't always the best, and you've got a range of models made in different places. GTI and Golf R in Germany. You've got the Atlas in Chattanooga, ID4 in Chattanooga, and
the Jetta in Mexico.
And the Tiguan in Mexico. And they've all had a few issues.
I'm going to go the other way. You think of brands that make cars in, say, North America, like the BMW X5. Gets amazing quality scores even from Consumer Reports, and it's made in North America. And then you look at a vehicle like the Toyota Camry. It's been made in the U.S. for many, I think it's been a couple of decades. And it's one of the most reliable vehicles they make. So there's a lot of people make a big deal about where the car is made. You want to actually look at the specific plant, because plants are scored and they get higher quality ratings than others. So look at the individual plant.
And look at Toyota in Canada. There's many vehicles that are made in Canada and they've got top scores as well.
Actually, there's the number one factory, according to JD Power, is in Japan, and the number two factory in the world is the Cambridge facility where they make the Lexus RX.
And here's the other thing. We bought a GTI. We love our GTI. It's been a great vehicle so far for us. If that vehicle was made in Chattanooga, for example, would that prevent us from buying the GTI? No, we wanted the GTI whether it was made in Germany or it was made in Mexico. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, I've been to the Puebla factory in Mexico, and you know, if you've ever been to a car factory and you go and visit one in another part of the world, they all have the same processes in place. And you know, some brands, make them at a higher standard depending on where the factory is. It makes no difference. In other factories, maybe it does.
I'm curious about vehicle allocations when buying a new vehicle. I put in my order for a 2025 Lexus NX 350h 3 weeks ago. My dealer in Calgary said the wait was 3 to 6 months, and the other dealer here told me 12 to 18 months. They appear to have a similar amount of sales, so I'm curious why there would be such a difference. Just curious, and thanks for doing what you do. It made my decision to buy a Lexus that much easier.
Well, I don't think that the dealers are being totally forthright with you. So first of all, pump the brakes on the reliability of the dealer, what they're telling you. So one dealer can say, yeah, it's only going to be 6 months. The truth might be it's actually 12. He just doesn't want to tell you that. Could be, right?
It is supposed to be based on sales. That's how much inventory they get in. I say, my goodness, if there's a dealership in Calgary saying that you can get an NX hybrid in 3 to 6 months and you ordered 3 weeks ago, that sounds pretty great, because people are waiting much longer for that. Depends on the area you live in. Of course, you're in Calgary, so what I'm going to say next doesn't necessarily relate to you. But for example, like a plug-in hybrid, Lexus or Toyota are going to put, and other manufacturers, not just them, they're going to put them where there are rebates available, provincial rebates for like a plug-in hybrid. So maybe BC and Quebec, because we know somebody in Ontario who's trying to get an NX plug-in hybrid, and
no hybrid for you.
Nothing
Yeah.
there.
The other thing is that how Lexus and Toyota Canada allocates their cars to individual dealers based on volume, we don't know.
No.
And you could be in an area where there's a higher demand for the NX. I don't know. I would just say, if like Andrea's point, if they can get you one in 3 to 6 months, take it. I would suspect maybe not.
I actually applaud you for shopping around within your area and going to different dealerships, because look at the results. Obviously, you're going to go with the one that's going to get you it faster, or go on a list.
Yeah, but
and then wait for it to come in.
The dealer could also just say, "Oh, listen, remember we said it's not going to be it's going to be another 6 months."
That could happen.
They could tell you anything they want. You
Yes.
should put your name on both and buy the one that comes in first.
Yeah. Working remotely and part-time now, so lots of free time to drive. Oh yeah. Looking for my next cross-country road trip car. Small, Traveling single, comfy, I'm 6'2", fuel efficient and fun to drive. I'm leaning to the UX300H or a sexy sports car. What should be on my radar? Love the show. Greetings from the Sunshine State. Well, I would never put, first off, I would never put fuel efficient and sexy sports car in the same sentence. And I wouldn't put fun to drive and the UX
in the same sentence.
Hybrid in the same sentence.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. You know what? I would go for the Lexus IS. You don't need the all-wheel drive one. You can just get the rear-wheel drive, which is going to be lighter and better on fuel. And if you want a comfortable car for long-distance road trips, so you have to, back to Andrea's, decide whether you want to have a CVT-based Toyota producing good fuel economy, or you want to have a car that's going to carve the canyons and have some fun for a road trip.
And if you want to compromise, not sure you want to, I'm not saying these are sexy sports cars, but if you're really thinking about fuel economy and fuel efficiency, you know, what about the Civic hybrid? We haven't driven it yet. I like the look of the Civic. How about the Camry XSE model, right? With the Sport Tune suspension.
Yeah, that actually, the new latest hybrid system in that car is, you watch the video again because we were blown away by how good it was.
UX, G70 or Integra, not the Type S. What would you go? UX, Genesis G70, or the Acura Integra,
What's
but
with
not
the UX all of a sudden?
I don't know. It's that 300H because it has more power now, and it's a hybrid.
First of all,
it's getting great reviews. We haven't driven it yet. It is coming. We're going to be driving it in a bit.
I would take the UX out of it. I mean, it's not even the same. Like, they're not even in the same kind of class.
If you said maybe IS, then I would say okay.
G70, and what's the last one?
Integra. Should we do a 3, 2, 1?
Oh, I know what you're going to say. I'm going to say the same thing.
Okay.
Let's find out.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Integra.
100%. I would get the Integra with the manual transmission.
Yeah, that's pretty special. That's a special car.
Love
you know what?
that car.
More, I got to tell you, Andrea, I'm going to admit something here right now.
What are you going to admit? I'm excited about this
Well, when the Integra, when we got it and we did the video, I was in camp Type R.
Type R.
Type R. And now I've come around, and now I'm in camp Integra.
I'm shocked.
You know why? Because I've seen the Integra a few more times on the road, and it's just better looking. Like, the thing is, I hadn't driven or seen the Type R yet in person. The Type R has more heritage than the Integra. So I was like Type R, but I think that Integra is the way to go.
Wow. You and I went back and forth in that video, and you were adamant
Andrea,
Type R.
Andrea, do you know what it takes? It takes a special person to admit, I wasn't wrong, I've just changed my mind. I wasn't wrong. I mean, there's still a case to be made for the Type R, because a Type R is a Type R is a Type R. For resale value, that one I still think will hold its value better. But I think the Integra is better.
Did you say you weren't wrong? I think you were wrong.
No. I didn't say I was wrong. I said I changed my mind. There's a difference. Because this is an opinion-based program, Andrea. It's about our opinions, and my opinion has changed.
Okay, we were at the Honda fireworks at English Bay recently. Honda hosted. And I spoke to the PR person, and I don't know why, but the Integra came up again. And I was like, I love that car. I love everything about it. It's got a manual. The Type R is exclusively, the Type S is exclusively a manual. I don't know. I'm just so fond of that car. What do you think of daily driving a manual? Would you be able to live with your GTI manual as a daily? Or would you have bought it in an automatic if it was for that purpose? Bonus question. What do you think of someone learning to drive stick on their own car? It's a good question.
Well, the thing is that I think it all comes down to who's going to teach you. Because the one thing about manual transmission is you can get the job done and you can get it down the road. But if you pick up bad habits, you can burn through clutches, and that's expensive, right?
Yeah.
So you see people that are just they're abusive to the clutch and to the transmission. So if someone teaches you how to do it properly, then you can, once you learn the basics, you can just perfect it on your own.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it takes a while to really master it, especially on those hills. I think that you could do some damage for sure, but I really think a lot of young people who buy a used car with a manual transmission, they're just learning as they go, and they do the best that they can, really.
Okay, so the way I describe driving a manual transmission, I've been driving a manual transmission my whole driving life. I don't even think about it. I call it, for me, the muscle movement is automatic. So when I pull up to a light, I put it in neutral, look at the lights, and okay, the light's changing, put it in first. I'm not even consciously thinking about what I'm doing. It becomes automatic. So for me, driving a manual every day, I don't even think about it. I just do it. It's not a conscious thing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't think I would want the GTI without a manual. We have a Mazda MX-5 with a manual. I don't think I'd want that without the manual. So I think that you would just get used to it. That's your vehicle. That's your daily driver. If you are in stop and go traffic, I got to say it is a pain. We took the MX-5, once again, down to English Bay and the fireworks, and it was jammed on the way home. And I drove home, and it was bumper to bumper traffic.
I had a few cocktails, so Andrea drove.
A few cocktails. It was bumper to bumper traffic, and I can see if that was your daily commute, that maybe a manual isn't always the best option.
I think it comes down to what kind of driving you do. But if you drive regularly, I don't even think about it.
Andrea and Zack, what car brand emblem is your favorite? I've always thought Alfa Romeo and Porsches looked really cool. Oh, yeah.
Do you know that Ferrari and Porsche both have the prancing horse? There's a long story about how they're both able to use the prancing horse, but we're not getting into that. What's yours?
I like Porsche. I like Alfa Romeo, the two that you chose, but I'm going to go with a couple non-luxury brands. I really like the Mustang logo with the horse, and I also like the Bronco.
Yeah, so if you're getting into individual trims, I mean, you can't go wrong with the Rolls Royce, on the front. That's pretty slick. I don't know.
Mercedes-Benz.
The three-pointed star has a lot of pull. Yeah, I don't know. I like the rondelle of BMW. And, you have to kind of know what a lot of these things mean, because they do have a meaning, right? So Mercedes-Benz, the three-pointed star was land, sea, and air. Those are the three sort of pillars of the brand. And rondelle is the same with BMW, is basically looking back at the history of aviation. So there's lots of history behind it.
I also like Maserati. I think that's a really cool one too. My husband and I are picking out a hybrid compact SUV for our family that we would like to keep for a long time, 10 plus years. We love all the options and new design of the 2025 Hyundai Tucson hybrid, but the reliability of the turbo engine scares us long term. We're also considering the Honda CR-V hybrid, which we love for space and dependability of the brand. Which do you guys prefer, or do you have any other suggestions in this space? Thanks for the help. We love the show.
Well, you could just go back to the good old Toyota RAV4 hybrid. I mean, if you want something that is proven, ultra reliable, is going to do the job week, month, and year after year, that's where you should be looking. But of those two, for long-term durability, I'd probably go with the Honda.
I would say that one great thing about the Toyota RAV4 is there's so many different hybrid trims to choose from, so you can find one within your budget. You can go with less features if that works for you. The Honda CR-V hybrid gets up there in price, especially in Canada.
Yeah, but if you're keeping it for 10 years, it doesn't really matter that much, right?
It doesn't. But if you're on a tighter budget, then maybe something like the RAV4 would be a better choice. If you are choosing between the CR-V and the Tucson, I'm with Zack. I'm going to go CR-V as well.
I have a really good question, Andrea. I've got a question. If I wanted to get a question in for Questions, Coffee, and Cars, how would I get that question to us?
You got to follow along on Instagram at motormouth_Andrea. Every Sunday morning, I put a post out on Instagram asking for questions. Once we gather our questions, the post is deleted and we start the show.
We'll see you then.
Thanks for watching.